Hey, everybody, I'm coming. I'm here. Just bear with me. I'm running like a chicken today. Oh, I closed it. Darn it. Okay, where are we? Here we go. I got everybody in. Hi. Let me get a chair. Whew, I've been running today. Running. I'm telling you. Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? If you guys have questions, fire one off at me. Then I'll talk to you about what we're going to talk about at the trade show. I highly suggest and strongly recommend that you make it to AGLA's trade show on May 24th at 3 p.m. I'm speaking on the main stage. How to get more bang for your buck out of your legal counsel. I'm sure I'll piss off a few people, but hey, that's what I do best sometimes. All right, you guys, are we ready for another week of this? We're getting closer. We're getting closer. So YouTube, will what be on YouTube? My training at a seminar? You know what? I could ask somebody to videotape it for me and then upload it on my YouTube channel. I'll try that. I'll try that. I hear you. I'm paying attention. I promise. That's actually a really good idea. Val, mwah. Yes, I'm gonna teach how to get more bang for your buck, but I'm mostly gonna be talking about what habitability issues are and the extent of habitability issues. A lot of people don't realize a mailbox key means no mailbox key on a lockable mailbox means a tenant doesn't owe rent. That's a habitability issue. Window screens on any window that opens, if they don't have them, that's a habitability issue. They don't owe rent. There is a long laundry list of them, but that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about there is habitability issues and breaching the warranty to provide habitable premises. It's funny you're talking about habitability issues. I think it's something that we can all relate to. What if there's an AC in the same window as what? What if there's an AC in the same window? The same window as what? Oh, the window screen. I got you. If there's an AC in that unit, you possibly couldn't put a window screen over an AC unit. It's not required. But the window's not open. You know, there's an AC unit blocking it. So that doesn't count. Just so you know. But yes, I definitely want to be talking about habitability issues because I know that that's something that happens in almost every single court case. They say, you've breached the warranty to provide habitable premises. And the reality is in English, that means the house isn't fit to live in. Why don't they just say that? Because it's the court system and it's attorneys and they use that special language, right? Just tell me the house isn't fit to live in and I'll fix it. Why do you have to use fancy words that nobody understands? It's what makes things quite frustrating at times for us. I know I spent many years at my desk like this because nobody could answer my questions. Nobody could help me. And even my attorneys would say, I don't know what to tell you. We practice law in a courtroom. And I'm like, who can I ask? Well, that's why I did this, is so that other people in the industry would not be sitting at their desk like this. They could actually just pick up the phone and call me and say, hey, what can I do here? And if I don't know the answer, you guys, I'll go hunt it down. Trust me. And some of you know I don't ask one attorney when I go ask a question unless it's a simple basic question. I usually ask several because I found that if you ask 3 attorneys the same exact question, you'll get 2.5 different answers. Remember, they call it practicing law. It's like practicing medicine. It's not an exact science. So you do have to take that into consideration when you ask a question, that you may get multiple answers back. Okay. An attorney is only willing to take on what they are willing to argue in a courtroom. So if you're not getting the answer you want from the attorney you're using, ask a different attorney. Does that make sense? I hope that's clicking with you guys. Attorneys will only take on what they're willing to argue. Hang on, I'm still letting people into the class, you guys. And I see questions coming, but I am blonde, so bear with me. I'm trying to get everybody in here. More people coming in, more people coming in. Do all windows need to be operational or only one window in per room? All windows need to open and close. Think about it if there was a fire. Unless it's a stationary window that doesn't slide up or slide down, you know, those decorative windows, they don't open and close. Sometimes we have those too. Those don't need screens. They don't open. Okay. But one that's painted shut and it doesn't open due to mechanical failure, you need to make that window open. Okay. And put a screen on it. So it's not considered a habitability issue. There's a lot of things considered habitability issues. And I'm trying to point out the key ones that a lot of us don't know. Mailbox key. If they don't have a key to the mailbox and the mailbox locks, they don't owe rent. Okay. Window screens, big one, big. People always ask me, there's window coverings on a habitability issues are not window coverings, curtains, blinds. That's not a habitability issue. You legally do not have to have curtains on all of the windows, but you do want to make it so from the street, the tenant has privacy. From the backyard, you're not required. Okay, everybody got that? Somebody asked me, is a paper towel holder a habitability issue? No, and neither is a toilet paper holder. Thank goodness. Because toilet paper holders, it's not the holder itself that disappears. It's that damn plastic thing that holds the bar in the middle. I don't know where those go, but tenants throw them away. I don't know. They just disappear. That and sink stopper assemblies, they disappear too. I don't know what they do with them, but they're not where they should be. I'll leave my statement at that so I don't say something I shouldn't. And those of you that know me know I can do that very easily. So let's start with some questions, see what people have going on. Here we go. What if there are two windows in a bedroom and one is nailed shut? Yeah, you wanna, what if there was a fire, Val? And I'll leave my statement at that. My theory is I'd throw a chair through the window if the house was on fire, but hey, it should open and it should have a window screen. I'm going to have to evict my tenant soon. I've been talking to him about payment, but it's almost like he's daring me to start eviction. I'm taking care of the mice issue. The mold I'm worried about. What else could we look at because he's going to bring up habitability issues? I'm going to assume this property is in LA County, and I'm going to be very careful on what I say and how I say it. So please, everyone, pay attention. In the event you go do an inspection at the property and the tenant is saying that there's mold or other issues, if you're doing a preventative maintenance inspection at the property and the tenant says, I don't know why you're doing this, I don't need any repairs, I still want you to do your job. Go through and see if they remove the smoke detectors because they can't cook. Oh, did I say that out loud? My bad. Go see if they took down the smoke detectors. Go see what they're doing in the property. Go see what's happening. And if they don't need any repairs, one might strongly suggest and recommend that you have them put that in writing. Paying attention. If you went in there on May 5th, I know it's not May 5th yet. Sorry, you guys. If you went on there on May 5th and no repairs were needed, and the following month you're now doing an eviction and they say you haven't done repairs in months, that notice that they signed saying that there were no repairs that were needed at that time may save you. Just saying. Guys all got that? Hope that's clicking. You might want to say, oh, you don't need any repairs? No problem. I'm just going to write this up right here stating that you don't have any repairs that need to be made. Could you just sign and date it for me? Make sure we put the property address. Perfect. That way, if you get in there and they start screaming habitability issues, you pull that out and say, but Your Honor, I was in the property on this date for a routine maintenance inspection, and they clearly stated in writing that there were no repairs that needed to be done at the property at that time. What happened since then? Okay, it's just another tool you guys can put in your arsenal. So if they're complaining that they don't need any repairs and they don't want you to come in, make sure you get that in writing. A long time ago, somebody explained something to me and I totally get it and understand it. So I'm going to share with you. When you're working in a property management company, you want everything coming into you from landlords, from vendors, from your tenants in writing. But what you put out of your office in writing is minimal, right? We don't put a lot of stuff in writing for people. Okay, when you really think about it. And if you are putting it all in writing, you may want to reconsider what you're doing. Okay, paying attention. Okay. Remember, stop sending warning notices unless you're required to by a city ordinance. Just do your job and serve the notice. Wait, if they don't let me in to fix something, they need to sign that they're declining. No. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if they don't let you in, whole different set of facts, document that they didn't let you in. If you have a workman with you that day and they're going to send you an invoice for a service call, make sure you pay that invoice for the service call and take it with you in court so you can show the judge a mutual third party billed me a service call because the tenant wouldn't let us in. It helps, you guys, it really does. So if they won't let you in, you can't have them sign that there's no repairs. But if they don't let you in, how could you possibly provide them with a habitable dwelling? Paying attention. That way, when you get into court, you can say, Your Honor, as soon as I received the answer to their eviction case and saw that they're claiming that I breached the warranty to provide a habitable premises, I served a 24-hour notice to do necessary or agreed upon repairs on this date. And as you can see, they didn't let me in, so how could I possibly provide them with a habitable dwelling? If you use your noodle, sometimes it makes things, I know I got a phone call, sorry, I came back. If you use your noodle, sometimes it makes things much easier for you to battle in a courtroom when you're trying to convince a judge of what's going on at the premises. Sometimes the way you fight back is simple. It's as simple as serving a 24-hour notice to enter. They don't let you in. Hey, guess what? They won't let me in. How can I provide them habitable premises? Now, why are we really here, Your Honor? Okay, so little things that we do help stop an argument in a courtroom. Does that make sense? They help shut down the complainer. Okay, I'm reaching here, you guys. Does anybody have anything in particular that they want to go over, that they want to talk about? Here we go. Here they come. Here they come. Here comes the messages. I saw you, Val. My disabled vet is not letting us in. We haven't flooded him with the 24-hour notices yet. We do not have a key to this house. We're going to schedule our 24-hour notice to enter when our locksmith is available, but concerned the tenant will not let you in. If he doesn't let you in, you're going to serve him a 3-day curable breach of covenant for failure to allow entry. It's a violation of California Civil Code. I want to say 1950. I want to say it's point. I don't know the civil code by heart. I could go look it up, but I want to say it's 1950, but I don't know. So let's not hold Patty to that, what the civil code is for failure to allow entry, okay? But in every county except LA, you can do an eviction for failing to allow entry. LA gets that right back on June 1st. LA County gets that right back. Okay, so if they won't let you in, do an eviction based on failure to allow entry. You know, you have a right to preserve your property, you guys. Anna, Patty, I have a woman that lives in one of 3 apartments. I have a woman that lives in one of 3 apartments. Okay, I got you. located upstairs with no private exterior area, just like a common walkway. I got you. Common walkway to all the units upstairs. Got you. Makes sense. There is a railing on side of the walkway that she uses to dry her laundry. I believe she's using the tub to wash her clothes, as I do not have laundry on the premises. The AOA rental agreement used at the inception of the tenancy has a clause that says house, pool, and laundry rules. Resident shall comply with all house, pool, pet, and laundry rules. See attached to this agreement, which may be changed from time to time. These rules shall apply to, but are not limited to, noise, odor, disposal of trash, pets, parking, use of common areas, storage, toys, bicycles, other personal items, including signs and laundry, which must be kept inside and out of her view. Can I give her a 3-day notice to perform or quit? In violation of the written rental contract, that is exactly correct. You need to serve a 3-day breach of covenant for cure or quit. Correct. It's the legal term for a cure or quit is a 3-day curable breach of covenant. It's the same thing. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato. It's a 3-day cure or quit, or a 3-day curable breach of covenant is the legal term. Just so everybody knows, the answer to your question is yes, that is actually the proper process and procedure. If you guys have a violation of the lease, the proper process and procedure is to serve a 3-day notice to perform or quit unless it is for rent. Rent goes on a 3-day pay rent or quit, and that is the only thing that goes on a 3-day pay rent or quit. No late fees, nothing else, okay? Everything else goes on a cure or quit notice. Late fee goes on a curable breach of covenant, perform or quit, cure or quit. It's all the same thing, okay? I've spent thousands so far to fix stuff. There are still some things that need to be fixed. Will this kill me in an eviction case? I've tried my best. It just depends. It depends on what they're wanting and what they're allowing and what they're not allowing. If they don't allow you in, how could you fix it? Okay. I know this is expensive. I know this is time consuming, and I know this has been a nightmare. COVID has really done a number on us as landlords. Okay. Allie, I just want to share with everyone, we had a tenant that upon move out had a broken bathroom door and never let us know. When they moved out, we found the broken door and deducted the cost from their security deposit. They took us to court and won because they claim a child was locked in there. A child was locked in, so the court said they had the right to enter the bathroom by any means to get the child out. They're correct. We now leave those little keys you get at Amazon for $5 above any interior door for them to access. Perfect. And yes, that is absolutely correct. But I would have argued in a different manner. I would have said that is tenant caused damage because they never notified me of the issue. So that, remember, for every argument, there's another argument. Keep that in mind. That's how litigation works. If you're going to argue this, I'm going to argue that. If you're going to, so I would have told them, oh, I had no idea there was a problem. That puts them in violation of their written rental contract in another place because they're not notifying me of a repair that needs to be made. See how that worked? Okay. So remember, when they throw something, if you're quick enough, sometimes you can throw right back. Sometimes we can't. We're shocked and amazed that the judge is saying this to us. And sometimes we're like, what are you talking about? And Allie, in all fairness, I probably would have went, are you freaking kidding me? Their kid went in there, their kid locked the door, and they removed the door entirely or did whatever they did rather than just calling someone, and they could have told them you can use a paper clip to open it. I mean, I don't get, I don't get half the things tenants do, but hey, but sometimes you can argue right back of they never notified us that there was a problem in here. So if they've lived there 11 months and they never notified us, how can we be held accountable for that? So I would have tried to reflip it. How much hot water is enough? The tenant says he doesn't have enough hot water to fill up the bathtub. He might not have enough hot water to fill up the bathtub. Example. If you have a 20-gallon hot water tank and a 30-gallon bathtub, guess what? It ain't gonna work. So what you need to do is figure out how many gallons your hot water heater holds. 40 gallon for a single family residence is usually sufficient, but it has to do with how many people are in the property too. So just something to think about, you guys. A 50 gallon water heater is usually something that I put in a property that's going to have more than 5 people in it. Okay. He also cried COVID again on the 2nd day of this month, Los Angeles County. Okay, so you guys, I got to share with you. I got one. I got a squatter in a property, and I forget, it's in LA County. I forget what city it's in. This is my favorite one. And the squatter in the property sent a screenshot to the landlord from Housing is Key, showing them that they applied for the rent money on April 17th. Your application has been accepted on 4/17/22 with Housing is Key. Everyone paying attention? Can you say Photoshop? Remember, the program for Housing is Key closed on March 31st of 2022. Paying attention? Photoshop. Okay. You did mumble that, Allie? I would have mumbled it too. Well, they never notified us, so isn't that damage they caused? Yeah, girl, we're on the same page, reading the same book. A lot of times they will rule with the tenant, especially in LA County, because of the way the tenant presents the case. And Allie, I wouldn't have mumbled that. I would have spoke that out loud. But as per my written contract, and I would have looked, let me look for the clause, Your Honor. I have something in here that would be considered tenant caused damage, most likely. I would have immediately started trying to do that. I'm with you though, you guys. And sometimes we win some, sometimes we lose some. And when we lose some on a stupid reason, you better believe it knocks us down a peg or two, because it makes us rethink everything. Don't do that. Okay. That is one judge in one courtroom that made one ruling. Let it go. Okay. Don't hold on to that. Doesn't mean that that's going to happen everywhere, every time. I'm sitting in my office and I can see someone coming up to the gate. Okay. Sorry. Always prepared.
I have a question to ask, Patty.
Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. This is for a property management agreement. We're trying to see, are we allowed to charge the owners a percentage, even if their tenants are not paying? Like, because we still have to put in the notices for them and stuff, but are we allowed to charge them a percentage?
A better business practice is to charge them a flat fee monthly if no rent's collected. And I'll leave my statement at that. In other words, back in the day, if I managed your property for you and we weren't collecting the rent because the tenant's not paying, then I had a flat management fee of $150 per month when no rent's collected.
Okay.
Make sense? Does that click for you guys?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I'm answering the question properly.
I have one more. This is in San Bernardino County. It's a house not covered by the TPA.
Single family residence exempt from the tenant protection, also known as AB 1482. I got you.
Yes. We just received a COVID relief check to cover all of her back rent. And now she owes for May. We just took her out of evictions. Will we have to start a new eviction case, or can we just piggyback off the old one?
No, you received payment. You have to start all over again.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. You can't claim COVID in LA County starting in April. That's not true. I know right now you're going, what did Patty say? I'm sorry. I'm reading the list of questions that you guys were typing in. Geraldo, you said you can't claim COVID in LA County starting in April. That is not true. You can self-certify within 7 days of the rent being due for April, May, and June. If they self-certify, then they don't owe the rent for that month. It gets attached to COVID rent. So they can self-certify by giving the landlord a letter or a notice in writing. It can't be an email or a text within 5 days of the rent or 7 days of the rent being due. But California SB 2179 supersedes. Nope. Tenants' rights don't supersede landlords' rights. So I'd have to check and see. I think you're incorrect. We have tenants self-certifying right now. It sucks. State supersedes the county. Whatever, when it comes to restrictions, the restriction that restricts you the most is the one that controls. Remember that? When it comes to restriction, the one that restricts you the most is the one that controls you. So if you're in the city of LA and you don't get governed by RSO, then you are governed by the county. If you don't qualify for the county, then you are governed by the state. So when it comes to restrictions, whatever one restricts you the most is the one that controls you. If a tenant pays me rent for April, but hasn't paid me 3 previous months, can I apply his rent to the back rents? No, you cannot. There is a COVID restriction, Jay. So how it works is, and I believe this is it's in one of the Senate bills that happened during COVID, and everybody's gonna freak out right now. So pay attention, please. As far as accounting goes, during the COVID pandemic, we as landlords, as property managers, managing investment property, any payments coming in needed to be applied to the month they were received, and any overages go to future months, not past due. Okay, they changed that law to happen during COVID, and I'm gonna put back on my thing so I can see your guys' faces. That law does not change back until January of 2025.
What?
That's what, here comes all the crap talking. I know it's coming. We have to change the way we do our accounting because of COVID until 2025. We cannot take in incoming rent and apply it to the most previous past due balance. It has to be applied in the month it was received, and any overages go to fees, not in the rears. I could tell you why they're doing that. Because on a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit, you can only go back 12 months. You could only evict going 12 months in the rears. I'm back now. Can you guys hear me and see me? I don't know what happened. Just let me know if you guys can see me and I'm here. I know it got disconnected, but I'm back. Okay, you guys are all telling me, thank you. Mwah. I don't know what happened, but I didn't want a repeat of last week. Okay, what was I saying? I panicked a little bit there. Sorry, I thought I lost all of you for no reason.
Patty,
What's your
question?
Yes.
So
yes.
we're in a drought. And I do have, my tenants do have bathtubs. I have already given them notice that they cannot fill their tub. I understand somebody else had an issue with not enough hot water. What happens with that if the tenants already know that we have a drought?
Tell me what law says they can't use their bathtub.
We do have a law that, you know, if you overuse water, then you're going to be penalized. So do I pass that on to the tenants?
You can if you've disclosed to them about the drought and being in compliance. Here's how it is. How those fines are usually issued is it's usually issued from washing your car or watering your lawn on the wrong day. Make sense? So if you notify the tenant of the rule in your city where the drought is and what those rules are, and you disclose to them and they break the rule, then you can charge them. Make sense? Make sense? I hope that makes sense.
I don't like to make sense. I like to make dollars.
Girl, that makes two of us. But I'm just making sure that you understand what I'm trying to say to you. If you have something in your rental agreement that says, and all of them do, they must abide by laws of the city, the state, the county, then they would have to abide by those laws and those rules. It's your job as the landlord to let them know what those rules are. So in the event we're in a drought and the city comes out and says, okay, we're going back to odd and even watering, you can only water your odd days if you have an odd ending address in your address number. Even days, addresses, water on even days. And if the landlord, get fined because your tenant is not complying with that, you would pass that fine on to the tenant after you notified them of the rule. Make sense?
Got it.
You can't
Patty,
charge something you never told them about.
I have a question, quick. Okay, suppose the bathtub has the type of the plug that doesn't, has a type of drainage that doesn't let you plug it, like this tenant's bathtub that I previously told you about. Now, he says there is a wrong drainage on this bathtub, probably meaning that he cannot put a plug on it. Now, am I supposed, even though it was rented like that, am I supposed to go ahead and change the type of plug and or not? What is the situation here?
Okay, who am I talking to?
This is David,
David, here's what I want you to do.
LA County.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to the 99-cent store, okay? And I want you to buy one of those big, I think they're like 4 inches around, and it's a flat piece of plastic or rubber that you put over the drain that acts as a plug, and give that to your damn tenant. Okay?
I will, thank you.
If you do that, the issue's resolved. So can I ask you guys a question? Do you know why you can't take a bath in a hotel? And you guys are thinking about it. Wait, maybe you there's a bathtub there. You could take a bath in a hotel. Try to do it. No, you can't. Do you know why? You know that overflow valve that's in all bathtubs? It's like this big metal disc, and if the water fills up that high, it's actually a drain, so it doesn't overflow over the side of the tub. It actually goes through the drainage system, so you can't overfill the tub. You guys pay attention next time you go to a hotel, okay? I promise you. Notice where that overflow valve is. It's in the middle of the tub. Why? So they can't fill it up any higher than that. Oh, yes, Val. Now it's the $1.99 plus store. Yes, you're correct. Inflation. But you guys get what I'm saying. If you fix the problem about the drain, boom, here's your rubber plug. Next. Problem solved. Okay, let me go back to all of our questions. Sorry, you guys. What about the application with housing is key? They completed the payment to the landlord. The statement shows it was for a few previous months of back rent. It doesn't matter. You accepted money during an eviction. If you accept money, it voids your eviction. So contact your legal counsel and ask them, but I'm in the understanding that you are going to have to dismiss this case and restart. And starting for April, May, and June, you don't have to provide your housing is key application in order to get a default judgment. And if somebody doesn't know what I mean when I said that, ask me to explain in detail. Allie, if a renter has made it a habit of paying the rent late during COVID, not affected by COVID, now that we're not in COVID, can we start charging late fees? Late fees can start being charged, I believe, in October of 2021. Okay, is when we could start charging late fees for October going forward. Okay, and if they're continually paying their rent late, and Allie, this is me talking directly to you. I usually do this when I take over a property in a management scenario, especially if it's a single family residence. And let me explain to you guys what I do. a landlord comes in and they say, hi, I want you to manage my property. I'm having all these problems, all these things are going on. The very first thing I do as a professional property manager is serve the tenant with a notice of takeover that I'm the new management company. I also give them a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy in the event that they're on a month-to-month. And that 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy is to revert back to the original terms of the written rental contract. That way, anything that the landlord has done verbally or guilty by acceptance in the past changes. In 30 days, we go back to the written rules of the contract. So it's a real easy way to remind them that although we accepted your rent late in the past, we don't have to do that in the future. The other thing that helps protect you from exactly what you're speaking of, Allie, and I know you're a smart cookie, so let me go into detail and explain this, is in your lease or rental agreement, you should have a clause in there. And when I say clauses, you guys, what I'm talking about is there's one in the beginning, it says rent. There's one that says security deposit. There's one that says late fee. It's that highlighted paragraph of your lease contract. One says attorney's fees. One says maintenance. Okay. There's one in there that says waiver. Okay. And if you have a waiver clause, what that basically says in English, as simply as I could explain it to you, is if we've waived the rules in the past for you, doesn't mean we have to do that in the future going forward. If you don't have a waiver clause and you've been accepting the rent at the end of the month instead of the beginning of the month, you could have rewrote when the rent is due by doing that. Guilty by acceptance. Okay. So one of the ways you can get that back or get those teeth back is serve a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy, reverting back to the original terms of the written rental contract, specifically as to when the rent is due. I mean, you could go that specific in your 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy, but the reality is you want to make sure all your terms are back in full effect. So my thing is, reverting back to the original terms of the written rental contract on file dated blank. Okay, and then I'd include a copy for their review. So that's one way you can do it. I hope that worked, Allie. Let me know if you want another idea because I have a couple of ideas. I really think I can evict for non-payment of April. Yeah, you can. California eviction moratorium supersedes LA County. Please tell me you're wrong. I really think I can evict for non-payment of April rent. Yes, you can. California eviction moratorium supersedes LA County. LA County's doing evictions right now for non-payment of rent for April. Yes, they still can claim COVID. They can self-certify within 7 days of the rent being due. It's written in the current moratorium that governs us. You want to know how you supersede it? Tell me yes. Tell me yes. If the rent's due on the 1st and they have 7 days from within the rent being due to self-certify, why not wait till the 10th of the month to serve the notice? Because then the time for them to self-certify has been exhausted. Paying attention? Thank you, Allie.
But once it's self-certified, it goes into small claim court a year later, right?
Correct, but they can only self-certify within 7 days of the rent being due. So if you serve them a notice on the 10th and the rent's due on the 1st, they can't self-certify anymore, right?
And every month they can self-certify. And
Only April, May, and June.
okay.
Starting July, that does not exist. So they can claim COVID. You keep saying in LA County, they can claim COVID across the state of California within 7 days of the rent being due for the month of April, May, and June. It's part of that 90-day extension, you guys. And yes, they can, but they have to know. And I'll tell you, the tenant advocate group's already made up a dummy form because I'm seeing them come through the law office. So they're handing them out like hotcakes. You guys pay attention. In LA, they're handing them out like hotcakes. Let me rephrase that because I've seen of them come through. So if they claim COVID in LA County, no. If they claim COVID for the month of May in the state of California, can you start eviction? No, not for that month. for the month of April, the month of May, and the month of June, a tenant can self-certify stating that they've been affected by COVID within 7 days of the rent being due. If they do that, then that money falls under the COVID protected period of the pandemic. State of California says they can't claim COVID starting April 2022. The new moratorium that extended for 90 days says they can self-certify within 7 days of the rent being due. That's what we're talking about. Starting July 1st, that goes away. And I'll tell you guys right now, there is no talk of extending this anymore. There are no, oh, somebody's sitting out there. I'm sorry, I'll let you in. I'm sorry. I was talking and I didn't know somebody was waiting to get in. I apologize, Karen. That was my fault. I got you in here now, so we should be good. And I'm sorry, I had to truly, genuinely apologize, and I forgot what we were talking about. So self-certification until July 1st. They can do that within 7 days of the rent being due. If you serve your notice on the 10th, guess what? The 7 days to self-certify has already lapsed. So then you could 3 days start eviction. Got it? If it goes away July 1st, LA County doctrine moratorium kicks in. How the hell do I win? Bingo, you got it. You understand? The LA County doctrine doesn't allow them to self-certify starting July 1st. And I hate to tell you guys this because I hate to say it out loud. Do you guys remember in the beginning of the pandemic, before they implemented an assembly bill, a Senate bill, a state bill, blah, 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 blah. We had all these cities, the city of Long Beach, the city of Torrance, the city of Compton, and I'm just giving an example, the city of Linwood, they all had their own little rules about COVID. Remember? I remember because I wanted to rip out my hair because there's no way I could keep up with all the independent cities in one county, let alone in 7. Okay. You guys all remember that? Remember when each little city had their own rules and then the state said, no, we're trumping that, not in a bad way, but we're coming in and you guys got to follow state law. It's more restrictive. Okay. Once the pandemic leaves on June 30th from the state law, it then allows the municipalities to create their own moratoriums regarding COVID paybacks. So starting July 1st, folks, don't be surprised if we see cities start implementing or counties start implementing their own COVID protections. The reality is, I don't think we're going to see too much of that except in heavily tenant populated areas, trying to protect their majority of voters. But for the most part, I don't think we're going to see those extensions like we did in the beginning of the pandemic coming from all the municipalities. I hope not, because I wanted to rip my hair out and I don't ever want to do that again. Does anybody else have questions for me for today, or something that you want me to go into depth or talk to you about, explain to you? Let me know.
Hi, Patty, it's Karen.
Hi, Karen. I apologize. I had you in the waiting room and I was on the screen answering questions and didn't see that you were waiting. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, that's okay. I had no choice and I was late. Listen, do you know what the new CPI is for this year? Do you have that yet? The CPI?
I don't think it's changed yet. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, you guys. I think it changes in July.
Okay. Okay.
It's
All right.
not out yet. Here's how I can help you tremendously. Tell me that you guys love me. So yes, I work at eviction service. You can go to fastevictionservice.com and up at the top of their website, click on links, click on tools. Okay. And it has a CPI calculator generator in there.
Okay.
So what you do is you put in the rent the tenants are paying now and what the zip code is for the property, and it auto generates how much you can increase your rent and tells you what that new amount is. You're welcome.
Very good.
I worked hard to make that happen.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. All right, let me go back because there's questions again. You said they could still same COVID. Yeah, I explained this to you. Okay. If it goes away July 1st, yes, LA County doctrine, you're absolutely right. See above about renter's insurance question. Okay, Val, thank you. I missed that, I think, when we got shut down. I see the 99-cent store, Val. Hang on, I'm going backwards. Val, I can't because it disconnected. I can only go back up to where we disconnected at. So I think it happened outside of that. Send me the question again, Val. I'm sorry. I know I'm making you type it. I'm sorry. I just can't see it. What if the tenant refuses the terms of a new month-to-month contract? Can you evict? I'm a little concerned. If the tenant refuses the terms of a new month-to-month contract, if you're in RSO, you cannot change the contract from the original contract at inception, except for an annual rent increase, an annual deposit increase, and your attorney's fees clause. For other properties, what you can do, you want to cap the attorney's fees clause. If they're on a month-to-month, you give them a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy. Tenants don't have to sign and agree to a change of terms. It's kind of the same way when you raise the rent. The tenants don't have to sign and agree to that. Okay, so use a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy to change your attorney's fees clause, or make it so that each party is responsible for their own fees, whatever it is that you're doing. But that's done on a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy. They have to be on a month-to-month contract in order for you to do that. You cannot do that while you're locked into a lease term. And that's, what if they don't sign the terms of change of tenancy? They don't have to sign that document. If your document for a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy requires a tenant's signature, you're doing it wrong. Simply said, we don't allow tenants to pick the rules. We're notifying them that we're changing the rules, and this is what the rule changes, and it will take effect in 30 days. They don't sign that, you serve that to them. If they have to sign that document, the document's wrong. How do I fix the hole in my contract? You have an attorney's fees, I just explained, and if you need me to explain it again, I will. If you have a hole in your contract, something you want to fix, and I'll give you guys a couple of examples. Let's say you don't like your late fee. Your late fee is only $10. And let's face it, if it's only $10, I'm going to pay my rent late every month because $10 isn't anything. And you can't do that under RSO, but what you do is you use a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy, okay? That's what that document is for, as far as property management is concerned, when we want to change those terms. And you can use them for everything. It's to revert back to the original terms of the written rental contract when maybe you waived something or let them get away with something for a while. Well, before you drop the hammer, you got to make sure they understand the rules changed back, okay? So a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy is you, the landlord, telling them about the new rule. Maybe the late fees changed. Maybe your attorney's fees clause is changed. Okay, you guys paying attention? So that's how you change the written rules of your written rental contract, is with a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy other than the rent. It's also how you do a rent increase, but if you're doing a rent increase, you don't do also a change of the lease contract. You don't want to do that on the same I almost said doctrine, but that's not on the same document. You want to use separate documents most likely, because one is specifically designed for rent increases and the other is specifically designed for you to change terms. Okay, paying attention? So the form I'm using is wrong, but requires signatures from the tenant. Let me ask you a question. If you want to raise the rent, you do a 30-day notice of change of terms of tenancy regarding a rent increase, right? You're not asking the tenant to sign a rent increase, are you? Because I would never sign a rent increase notice as a tenant. Bing, light came on. If you're the one doing the rules, you're telling them what the rules are. They don't have to sign and agree to it. They signed and agreed to it when they signed the lease contract. Make sense? Oh, Val, the pig lady got rid of the pigs, but did not provide required renter's insurance. So I will serve her another 3-day, and that would be a curable breach of covenant, just so you guys know. But if she does not get it, is my only recourse eviction? Yes. I still don't want to evict, and this tenant always pays late, but I want to warn her that this practice is unacceptable. Or is that just useless to warn? Do not warn. Use that 3-day notice. Exactly. So don't write a letter in writing giving them a warning. Allie can testify to this, you guys. Years ago, we used to say, don't do that, or I'm going to have to serve you a 3-day curable breach of covenant notice. This is your warning. And it was all written out in writing. This is a warning. Here's my theory. Now that the courts have said that we as landlords are harassing our tenants by giving them a warning notice as a courtesy, that's harassment. Just serve the notice. We're not allowed to be nice anymore. Don't warn them. They're using that against us. It's a bad business practice for you to warn them in writing. It could be considered a threat. Serve the notice. That is recognized by the court as you doing your job. Hey, Allie knows. Allie knows. And remember this, if you do for one, you got to do for all. So stop giving those nice warning notices and being nice about it, because they'll say, oh, look, the landlord's harassing me. They're not actually giving me the notice. They're just sending me these letters telling me what I have to do every month. That's harassment. They got a point. But we're just trying to be nice. Don't be nice anymore. Kill a tree, serve the notice. Do your job. Simply said. If you do your job, nobody's going to yell at you. If you try to be nice about it, that's when they're going to use it to hang you. So yes, no more warning notices. We don't do that. That is not allowed. Okay, it makes us look like horrible people because we're trying to give them a warning before we actually serve the notice. No, just serve the notice. The court sees the notice as you doing your job and the warning as a threat. Yikes. Yikes. And you know how I look at it? Hey, that's okay. You just saved me time and paper. California Apartment Association has that on their 30-day notice to change the terms of tenancy. I wonder why they would do that. Does that make sense? If we, the landlord, are changing the rule, why does the tenant get to sign and agree to it? We're increasing your late fee from $10 to 10% of your $5,000 a month rent. Would you sign that as a tenant? I wouldn't. Sorry, I needed more caffeine. And I saw, Val, that you will not be coming to LA County for the trade show. I'm sorry, I won't see you there. I hope to see the rest of you there, though. Come on, you guys. Can I just cross out the signature? No. And there's got to be something on the document that says that, like, does it even have in there all other terms to remain in full effect before you sign it? And I can't tell you to modify somebody else's document because I don't know what the legal jargon is they used on that document. So the way they wrote that document may require a tenant's signature. So my opinion to you is find a 30-day notice of change of terms that doesn't require the tenant's signature. Paying attention, but don't just modify it because that may make the entire notice invalid. Spanish forms are hard to find. Join AGLA. Talk to them about it. aagla.org. You did? Do they do documentation and notification in Spanish? know Spanish. Do you want to know why it's really hard to get documents in Spanish? And I'm being completely transparent with you. Because they don't process court proceedings in any language other than English. In other words, you have to get an interpreter when you go to court. The judge doesn't understand Spanish or any other language for that matter. They are required to know English. Once, it only takes one time you serve a notice in Spanish or any other language, then you change the dialect for the term of the tenancy. Understand? That's the problem. You have to do every document in Spanish going forward. Call Fast Evict, talk to Fernando or Angie and see if they would be willing to help assist you create the document in Spanish that you need. Yes, I said it. Call Fast Evict. They have an attorney that helps them do those in Spanish so that they're correct. But I'd ask Fernando or Angie if they could help you to create a notice of change terms of tenancy in Spanish because your dialect is already in there. So here's my opinion, you guys. I don't change any documents from any language other than English because quite frankly, I can't read it and have no idea what it says. So for my own sanity, I don't serve documents outside of English. If they need a translator to translate, they can get one. I don't provide one. And that's how it should be. If they don't understand English and they're coming to my move-in, they need to bring a translator. And just so you guys know, you can't have your own translator to translate documents for them. They need to bring a translator. You don't provide it. It has to do with your translator didn't explain that to me. Wasn't my translator, that's your translator. That's a you problem, not a me problem. That's how I like it. A you problem, not a me problem. Make sense? I hope that clicks with you guys. Can I update the rental contract? Hang on. Let me go back and look. Remind the group that if you post in Spanish, you must serve all notices in Spanish. That doesn't have to do, and thank you for letting me know the contract was in Spanish because that tells you everything needs to be in Spanish from thereafter. Can I update you're stuck in for the term of that tenancy. You're not stuck for forever, just as long as those tenants live there. And just so you guys know, that's a state of California law. It applies to the entire state of California. Is there a difference between a 3-day notice to perform or quit and a 3-day notice to pay rent? Absolutely. One is a material breach of the written rules of your contract, and the other one is for failure to pay. When rent and late fees are required, you need to do a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit and a 3-day curable breach of covenant for the late fee. Got it? I have evicted people because they paid the rent and didn't pay the late fee, and I still got them out on the covenant. I'm that girl. I know. The worst eviction I ever did was for $12. I'm that girl. Okay. So yes, I have evicted somebody for 12 bucks before. She didn't have to be the ass that she was being. And quite frankly, I wasn't going to tolerate that for a whole tenancy. So bye-bye. She even told the judge, Your Honor, it's only $12. Do you think I'd lose my Section 8 for $12? And the judge said, well, why didn't you pay it to her? I didn't know. You didn't know you owed rent? The judge was a jerk to the tenant. Just saying. What if a tenant is not cooperating with scheduling a pre-move out inspection? A pre-move out inspection is not required by law. It is only required that you offer it. If you offered it and they don't request that it happens, it doesn't happen. Got it? A breach of covenant is a 3-day cure or quit notice. Tomato, tomato, potato, potato, it's the same thing. A cure or quit is the same thing as a 3-day curable breach of covenant. You will hear me say 3-day curable breach of covenant because it's the legal term and I work in a law office, but it is a 3-day cure or quit all day long. Okay. Sorry, I get that question a lot and I got to remember it's your own fault. You get asked it so many times. You keep saying it wrong. Well, I'm not saying it wrong. I'm just using the legal term. I get it though. My bad. Sometimes you can take the property manager out of the property, but you can't take the property manager out of me. What is the form for a breach of covenant? It is a 3-day cure or quit, or it's known as a 3-day curable breach of covenant. It's the same thing. So it's the notice you use if they're in violation of the written terms of their rental agreement. It is the notice you use if they're not watering the grass. It is the notice you use if they have storage items where they're not supposed to. It is the notice you use if you want to increase their late fee. It is the notice you use. You guys following along? So a 3-day pay rent or quit is for rent only. Anything else that's a breach of your written rental agreement goes on a cure or quit notice. Late fees, a broken window repair bill, anything. Did you say landlords are required to offer a pre-move out inspection? Absolutely, it's part of the law. And it's actually part of California Civil Code 1950.5. And I could look to see what section it is. You must note, if you have a security deposit on file from your tenant, you must notify their tenant, your tenant, of their right for you to perform an initial inspection at least 2 weeks prior to them vacating. Okay, let me explain to you what this actually is for and where it's actually used against you. Okay, because that's what we all want to know, right? If I don't do it, where's it going to bite me? Okay, yes, you can serve both forms at the same time. It's the best business practice. So if there's 3 times you don't have to use this notice. If you're doing an eviction, if the tenant surrenders the property to you, in other words, they walk in the office and goes, here's the keys, I'm gone. You don't have to do that, okay? And the other one is abandonment. That is when the neighbor calls you and tells you, hey, they vacated in the middle of the night. You don't have to do it then either. So surrender, abandonment, or eviction, you do not have to give them their right to a pre-move out inspection. If they give you a 30-day notice they're vacating, you must notify them of their right by giving them that paper saying that they can schedule a pre-move out inspection 2 weeks prior to them vacating, okay? If you are giving them a 30-day, a 60-day, a non-renewal notice, you need to include that with the documents, the right to have an initial inspection. Here's where it bites you if you don't do that. Hello, Your Honor, I'm in small claims court today, and I'm suing my tenant from their security deposit because they damaged my property and owe me a shit ton of rent. Okay, did you notify them of their right to have an initial inspection? No, Your Honor, I didn't. Case dismissed. Go home, you lose. Game over. That's it, you're done. Bye-bye. You lose, go home. I'm not playing. That's really what happens. You get in small claims court. Did you notify the tenant of their right to have an initial inspection? Yes, I did, Your Honor. There's a copy of it right here in the file. As you can see, I know my background won't allow me to hold up paperwork. It doesn't work. Sorry. So if you pull that out and show the judge that you notified them of their right to have an initial inspection, okay, proceed with your pleadings. In other words, you get to keep talking and you get to go forward. So that's where that is used against you. If you don't notify them of their right to have an initial inspection 2 weeks prior to them vacating, how could you charge them for anything in that deposit? Make sense? I hope that the fireworks are going off in there and you guys are like, oh, I get it. That makes total sense. But that's the why behind a pre-move out inspection, it's called pre-move out inspection. In other words, it's 2 weeks prior to them vacating. It's when you go to the property and you give them a written list that says, in order to get your deposit back, you must return the premises to its original condition, remove all of your trash and debris, remove all of your personal items, fix this big basketball size hole in the wall. I mean, whatever it is they need to do to get their deposit back is what you need to leave them in writing the day you do the pre-move out inspection.
How about the other way around, Patty? If you don't do that and they sue you because you took money out of the deposit without doing this 2 weeks prior inspection, do they have a case?
Yes, they do. If you don't notify them, it is the landlord's responsibility to notify the tenant of their right to have initial inspection. It doesn't mean you have to do the inspection. If the tenant never says, I want the inspection, then you don't have to do it. But if they say, yes, I want this inspection, then you have to go there 2 weeks prior to them vacating, telling them how they get their deposit back. It's part of the law. David, I hope that it put it into clarity for you. Can you
Yes.
serve forms at the same time? Absolutely. I do it all at the same time. A tenant walks in and goes, hi, Patty, I'm here to give you my 30-day. We're going to have to vacate. Okay, hang on 1 second. And let me give you your notification to the right to have an initial inspection at least 2 weeks prior. So I fill that out and I hand it to them. Sometimes I make them wait. I got a notice for you too. Sometimes those notices can have their prorated amounts. So you want to make sure you include those too. It's you doing your job, but you can't make any deductions from a tenant's security deposit legally if you never notified them of their right to have that initial inspection. And that's where that can bite you. I've seen it happen to people, and I just sit there with my mouth open because it's just one piece of paper. It's easy. If you're terminating tenancy, a 30-day, a 60-day, a non-renewal, that automatically needs to go with it. Notice of right to initial inspection, notice of right to initial inspection. Tenant comes in and gives you a notice telling you you're vacating, give them a notice of a right to initial inspection. They'll say, what is this? Oh, that's for your pre-move out inspection. You only have to do it if you want it, but you need to schedule it at least 2 weeks in advance. It lets you know what you need to do to get your security deposit. You know, move all your stuff out. That's one of them. Somebody is trying to call me right in this moment. We are going to decline them and yell at them later for interrupting our class today. I know some of you guys got to get back to work. So if you have a quick question you need to ask before you get back to work, by all means do it. If you want to stay with me, we're staying. Does the tenant need to sign the receipt? Hold on. Does a tenant need to sign for the receipt of an inspection notice? I always just leave them a copy. This is where I carry that old school carbon paper so that I don't have to make 2 copies. And whatever I write out for them, it's automatically imprinting another copy. You guys know that old school copy paper stuff that we used to use years ago? It's like black in color and you put it between the 2 pages. Whatever you write on the top page, it transfers to the bottom page. That's how I make notices in the field, just so you know. Paying attention? So you're driving down the street and you're driving up to your property and you're almost going to crash your car into the curb because they have trash and debris all the way out to the street. Holy crap. Okay, let me pull out my clipboard and write them a 3-day curable breach of covenant notice right there in my car. And I have a copy of it because I used carbon paper. Go to Staples, you guys. It's not easy to find and it's expensive. I want to say I bought 20 sheets and it's over $1 a page. So reuse it as much as you can. But that's how I make notices in the field so that I don't have to go back to the office, print out the notice, take it back to the property. That's what I do. So there's a tip and trick from Patty. You know those construction clipboards? They got a calculator on them. They're plastic and they open up and you can like store papers and stuff in there. 3-day curable breach of covenants should be in there. A blank copy of your lease contract so you know what to reference. See how all of this helps? I'm that property manager, folks. I carry Windex and paper towels in the trunk of my car in case that move-in, I need to clean something up really quick. you know, because sometimes bugs show up when tenants move out. Just saying. So you got to swoop them up and clean things real quick. Or I always have a screwdriver too, because sometimes you just need to adjust those cabinets so that they're not crooked. I do all kinds of weird things. You guys, we should have a whole class on things property managers should keep in the trunk of their car.
Can you just add a clause to 30 or 60-day notice to move out in the bottom somewhere?
No, you don't want to alter a notice to vacate. It has a very specific California process and procedure, and it's a civil process. So you don't want to mess up that at all. Okay.
Okay.
Ashley, screwdriver, good idea. So things you guys can keep in your cars, especially, and I'm going to gear this towards single family, but you guys are going to go, that makes so much sense. I keep paper towels. I keep Windex. Why do I keep Windex? Because it will spray on a counter and wipe off a counter. I can spray it on a mirror and wipe off a mirror. I can spray it on a floor and wipe up the floor. Windex almost works everywhere. Okay. Okay. So I keep that. I keep a screwdriver. I keep a water key. You guys know what a water key is? That's so you can shut the water off at the meter, that big long stick thing. I keep a water key. I also keep, and you guys will love this one, a flashlight. How many times do we go in a vacant property and there's no power on? You can't see in there, folks. You don't know if somebody's hiding in the closet. Take a flashlight. I also have gloves. I also have sanitizer. And the number one thing I always keep in the trunk of my car, Val, be quiet. You know me too well, or a taser. The other thing that I keep, and I strongly recommend you guys, is a lint roller. You know, I said lint roller. You know that thing you put on your clothes to make sure you don't have hair on you? That's also the damn thing you lose when you go in a house that's full of cockroaches or bed bugs on the bottom of your shoes, the bottom of your pants legs, because the eggs will stick to that tape and you won't track it into your car and then take it home. We don't need that. Okay, so there's a couple things I do keep in my car. I also keep about a gallon jug of water. I want to say I keep about 2 gallons in my car. If water's not on and somebody has to use the bathroom, it's an easy way to flush the toilet. I'm just saying, because if you don't flush the toilet and it sits there for a while until power gets turned on, that's nasty and it smells bad. So if you got to dump a bunch of water in the bowl to flush the bowl down, so be it. That's what you got to do. Okay. Surely mailing a copy of the inspection notice is fine. Yes, this is not required to post on a door. Correct. No, I don't send anything certified except rent increases and termination of tenancy notices. Those are the only 2 documents I ever send certified. Nothing else. You know why? Because they're not going to sign for it anyway. They're going to make it come back to you because they think it's something bad. So don't waste the money. All that's required is proper proof of service. So post and mail. And you don't have to post those. You just mail them a copy. You need a copy in your records to show the judge that you did notify them of their right to have an initial inspection. If you use fast eviction service to serve a termination of tenancy notice for you, it auto generates that notice and serves it as well. So if you use Fast Evict for a 30-day or a 60-day or a 90-day notice, know that Fast Evict is also notifying them of their right to have an initial inspection. If you're using different legal counsel to have them serve a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day notice, ask them, do you also serve the notice of right to an initial inspection? If they don't, you have to do that. You are required to. I explained where it bites you. I explained how it helps you. I explained how I use it in the field with the carbon paper between, so I can keep a copy of what I'm giving them. Carbon paper is cool. I mean, how many times have we been driving through a neighborhood? Oh, wait, let's go check on this property. Let's make a right turn. Oh my God. Effie, what are they doing? Instead of going all the way back to your office, gas is expensive, folks. Instead of going all the way back to your office, creating the document, driving all the way back and posting it on the door, it makes sense if you can do that right then and there. It is cost effective. So yes, for Christmas one year, I bought every single one of the property managers at my company one of those clipboards. Got a calculator right on it. They could figure out a prorate if they need to. It's the best tool ever. I want to say they're like 20 bucks. You get them on Amazon. They're great. I missed your question. Okay, I'll go back. Patty, you missed my question on eviction for late fees, breach of contract. If tenants don't pay my late fees, can I evict? My answer was yes. I've evicted someone before for not paying a late fee. If they pay on the 3 days, the 3 days dead, but the covenant is still good on the late fees. That's also where if a tenant breaks a window, and I'm using that as an example, you would serve them a 3-day curable breach of covenant, not only to fix the window, but maybe you would serve them a 3-day curable breach of covenant in the event that you had I lost my train of thought. Hold on, someone's asking me a question. You're okay. A bunch of people can hear you right now, so be careful what you say. Hold on. I'm being interrupted. I apologize. 60-day notice?
She's the lady that you said would come in today. Will you sign it?
Is it a single family residence?
It's the lady with the dog. They did post it.
I understand what you're talking about.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Sorry for the interruption.
No, you're fine. My people are okay with it. You guys, one of the attorneys just came in here and asked me a question in the middle of a live webinar. I'm sorry, I apologize. I feel so bad. Patty, you missed my question. I answered that. Serving both forms for rent and late fees. Yes. Okay, back to the broken window. Squirrel. Okay, hang on. So if your tenant breaks a window and you pay to get it fixed because it is a habitability issue, you have to fix it. You're the landlord. If your glass repairman says, Patty, this window was broken from the inside of the property outside. All the glass is on the outside of the property. There's nothing on the inside of the property. If somebody threw a ball or a rock, it would have broke the glass inside the property. It is my best professional and expert opinion that this window was broken from the inside of the premises to the outside of the premises. Then I use that. I send the tenant the bill. The tenant doesn't pay the bill, then I'm going to serve them a 3-day curable breach of covenant for the monetary damages that the owner incurred by their negligence of not paying for the window they broke. So that's where I use a 3-day curable breach of covenant is for everything you want to do other than rent. Got it? I hope that stuck. And I saw something else I found. As soon as I get off this Zoom call, I'm doing both of them. All right. If anybody has anything else, I know we're 20 minutes after and you guys love me, but you don't love me that much. We got things to do. If you guys need anything, you know how to hunt me down. I'm here for you. I'm very excited about Pasadena. So if you don't know, now you know. Pasadena Convention Center, May 24th. I will be talking on the main stage at 3 o'clock at AGLA's trade show. So I'm up later in the afternoon. I have no proof of this, but a tenant's window was broken, which I paid to fix it. Later, we heard it was a family member. Yeah. Then you might want to put it on their disposition of security deposit when they vacate. Just saying. Oh, I forgot it was Mother's Day. Thank you. Thank you, Margot. That actually made me feel good. Well, Mom, happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there. Because you know what? Our kids get older and they forget about us because they don't need us anymore. You have no proof. It was broken during the who fixed the window? A professional or a handyman? Because a professional window layer will tell you in their best professional opinion how the window broke. And remember this, you guys, your tenants aren't going to tell you. They're not going to tell you anything. Everything's a mystery when it comes to the owner or the property manager. But they'll tell your workmen everything. Okay. Ask them if it was broken from the inside of the property out or the outside in. And even if a family member threw a ball or broke it, I mean, it's just hard. Okay. Some things are hard to charge back to a tenant, says the girl that evicted somebody for almost a $5,000 bill for treating bed bugs. I've done the weird, strange things that we all think about, you guys. You know how we really wanted to do that, but I've done it. I guarantee you I've done it. That's why I tell you, don't do it this way. I've already found out that's not a good way to do it. Yeah, I hear you. Sometimes tenants can be deceitful in the things that they do, and they don't want to get evicted. They want to be able to still live there. They think that you're going to hate them because they broke a window. The reality is life happens. Have you guys ever broke a window before? Ever? I did. I broke a window on my very first house I bought. You know what I did? I didn't want to pay the gardener to go weed the property. And while it was in escrow, of course, nobody's maintaining it. So the backyard was full of weeds. So I know everything. I'm good. I'm going to go back there with my weed whacker and I'm going to whack away. Well, I whacked a rock right into my sliding glass door and it shattered. My bad. But because I owned the house and it wasn't a rental, you know what I did? I cleaned the glass out of one panel and left the other panel, and that's how we lived. No dual pane glass on the slider door. I did put one of those reflective insulation films on it that reflected the sunlight to help with the heat, but that's it. Time and address, please, for the convention. It's at the Pasadena Convention Center. I believe that's on Green Street or Green Avenue. I don't have it right in front of me. I'm speaking at 3 o'clock. It opens at 9 a.m. and goes till I believe 5. It is free to enter. I believe you have to pay to park. I want to say it's like $10 to park. You will have water heaters, retrofitting, every vendor you could imagine there. Attorneys will be there. Educators are going to be talking on stage, security companies, camera companies, water heaters, plumbers, air conditioning, heating and air, refrigeration, appliances, anything to do with our industry will be at this convention center. And if you manage property in that area, it's a really good place. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Everybody always helps me. Mwah! I love it. So 300 East. Oh, I lost it already. 300 East Green Street in Pasadena on the 24th. I think it's from 9 to 5. I'm on the side stage, I think at 3 o'clock, teaching you how to get more bang for your buck out of your legal counsel. I'm also mostly going to be talking about habitability issues and what those actually mean in simple English and different ways that we can combat them to help with our legal process. All right, you guys, have a great week. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all and enjoy. If you need me, you know how to find me. Bye, guys. Bye.